Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cross Circle, the official podcast for PlayStation Source. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley, joined by the other half of PlayStation Source, Mr. Kevin Diaz. Kevin, how you doing this week after?
What is going on? What's happening? A little bit under the weather today. Went to Post Malone last night, so got a little sick, but we're good. We're all right. Mm-hmm. We're here.
Nice. Breathing. Yeah, one of my friends who's in Texas right now went a few nights ago to see him.
Yeah. I know. Obviously, this isn't a music concert podcast, whatever. But I will say, out of the 2 times I saw Post, this was the weakest one. I will be honest. I love Post, but weak concert. But overall, enjoyed my time.
Yeah. So here we are, episode 3 of Cross Circle, the week after E3. Still recovering. Still feeling the wear and tear that E3 brought this year.
Absolutely. But also, it's going to be like a massive drought now that E3's over. Like, we're not going to get probably...
Trust me, I know, because I'm trying to think of topics for podcasts for the rest of the summer right now. But to kick things off this week, I thought we'd do something a little different. And since we're away from E3 now, I want to look back past 3 years and see how well you've paid attention, Kevin, to E3.
Which I paid a ton of attention, if you will. I paid a lot of attention. Probably, I'd say maybe, I'm very knowledgeable, I'd say, with every E3 after 2010, I'll say. Probably, I'll say after 2010, I was very, very much into E3. And religiously watch them every summer. So
it's about the same for me. Like when I was younger, like before then, I was still aware of the announcements from like different YouTube channels, but definitely around then is when I started following it for myself.
Yeah, like I never watched them, until like 2010, I'd say.
Yeah,
towards the end of the 360, PlayStation 3 era.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to start things off with a game, like I said. So the statistics. I have 3 questions here. The statistics of everything is pulled from IGN and VentureBeat.
Okay, so this is like a trivia type of thing? You're
trivia.
E3 knowledge?
I'm giving you 5 options for the past 3 years. You got to guess the right answer.
Okay.
What is the top most viewed content related to a game from the last 3 E3s?
So the one game that has the most views of their content. Okay.
All content regarding that game.
Okay, got it. Okay. Over the last 3 years? Okay, I got it.
Last 3 years, including 2018.
Okay.
So, 2018, we have The Last of Us Part 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Cyberpunk 2077, excuse me. Okay. D is Anthem, and E is Fallout 76.
Okay, so I have Last of Us Part 2, Anthem, Cyberpunk, Fallout 76, and what was the other one?
Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Damn. See,
it's tricky, right? Because it's a lot of big games.
Because it's like, if Smash wasn't in this, I'd probably lean a little bit more, but then we have Fallout. You see, like, damn it. Okay.
Yeah, and remember how big Fallout 4 was.
I do, yeah. And plus, like, I feel like a lot of people, especially with this new Fallout 76, how it's very much a departure from the original Fallouts and how they usually are with being a traditional, single-player RPG. This one obviously has very much of a different gameplay style and everything. So that one, I assume, would attract a lot more eyes to it and everything. But then Smash Bros. With them putting out every character that's ever been in Smash Bros. Ever.
You got all that good Cyberpunk buzz, too, and Last of Us. And Anthem, people are curious about Anthem.
Damn it. Last of Us 2, I could see it not being it, even though I could probably see it just because it's Naughty Dog. Like, what I'm saying? It's Naughty Dog. But, okay, I have to pick one out of the 5. Part of me wants to say Fallout. Okay, here are my potential answers. Okay, here are my potential answers before I nail one down. So, I think either Smash, Fallout, or Cyberpunk. Last of Us 2, I don't think it's that. And then, what was the other one?
Anthem was the other choice.
Damn it! There's Anthem too. I don't know about Anthem. Okay, I'm gonna say Fallout 76.
You are wrong.
I know.
It is. It surprised me because I was thinking it was gonna be Cyberpunk. I thought I saw it was Cyberpunk. It was Anthem.
Cyberpunk makes a lot of sense too. It was Anthem?
Anthem was the most viewed all forms of content across IGN's website for 2018's E3.
That's including like articles and
articles, videos, everything they want to include for website traffic. Anthem was the one.
Wow. Okay.
Surprised me. Very surprising.
That is weird.
Which I understand because BioWare has that huge fan base, and then after Andromeda, so many people are curious.
Yeah.
And that was really the highlight of the EA show, so that's the thing that was probably getting the most clicks. So I understand, like it's not far out there. Sure. But with all the cyberpunk buzz, it really threw me off.
Yeah, I would have. Wow. Okay. Anthem got it. All right. That's the most out of the last 3 years. Not even this year. Out of the last 3 years total.
No. So that was for 2018, but we're gonna do 2017 next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right. So for 2017, we have Destiny 2, Metroid Prime 4, Super Mario Odyssey, Beyond Good and Evil 2, and Battlefront 2. Star Wars.
It's not Battlefront 2. There's no way it's Battlefront 2. Beyond Good and Evil 2, maybe. I'll give it a solid maybe. Probably yes, honestly, because I'm not fully aware of the resonance that IP has with a lot of people that play the first one. It's very much like
a cult following.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely not one of those people. It looks cool, but I'm just unaware of the game overall. So, there's that. So that's obviously my bias there, but it could possibly be that if that cult following is, pretty massive. And obviously, that game, I assume that franchise has been pretty dormant ever since the first one. So
it's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that. I think it's Odyssey. I think Switch had a very, very great first year for it being last year and everything, and Odyssey was a massive hit. Great game. I beat it. I think you beat it as well. Great game overall. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say Odyssey.
Okay, so a quick mention about 2018. Per Schneider of IGN, he mentioned that people were surprised that Smash Bros. Wasn't #1 considering how big of a name that is. And he mentioned the reasoning was because it was announced earlier, so this wasn't the debut of it. Okay. Anthem sort of falls apart with that logic, but
yeah, exactly.
For 2017, Super Mario Odyssey debuted at the January Nintendo event last year. Okay. So surprisingly, again, EA is running away with it. Battlefront 2 was the #1 on IGN last year.
Get out.
Yeah, because if you have to think back about it, the EA conference last year, the highlight was Battlefront. They showed that really long multiplayer gameplay demo. They had Janina come out on stage, and she was saying all the great things about the single-player stuff. They had that John Boyega package. They were talking about how there weren't going to be...
wait a minute. They did... Was it there where they said that there were going to be... there's going to be a story to the game?
Yeah, that was the reveal. Like, this is a huge story. We're doing a canon Star Wars story. And there was a lot of goodwill for Battlefront.
Now that makes sense. Yeah, now that makes sense. Damn it. All right. What is 2016? Right.
So your options for 2016 are Battlefield 1, Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, Mass Effect Andromeda, and God of War.
It has to be Breath of the Wild.
Okay, yeah, good job. You got that one.
Like, okay, good. I'm like, there's. Like, if it's somehow not, I don't get, like, it has to be Breath of the Wild. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild at 2016 was far away the biggest buzz. I had to pull from VentureBeat for that statistic. But, yeah, that year was interesting because it was the only game Nintendo wanted to show off. And obviously, doing that would sort of upset some people, because you're not going to get a bunch of games that you were expecting to see.
For sure.
Speaking of, the topic for this week's podcast is games that we thought and would have bet money on to show up at E3 2018 that did not. How you like that transition?
That was a beautiful segue. Sir, that was a beautiful segue.
Thank you.
I'll give that 10 out of 10. Massive props. Yeah. So I'm going to let you start off with this. I feel like you definitely have a lot to say about your game that you didn't see out of E3, which I felt also was a definite sore out of the conference that the publisher made of this game. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, felt that if they had this, would have been a little bit better. But take the floor, sir. You may take the floor, Mike.
So I want to bring up Final Fantasy VII Remake. I probably shouldn't have gone into E3 expecting to see anything from Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
Just because of all the headlines we've had over the past, I don't know, how long has it been? The past few months, this year,
yeah,
lately.
a couple months.
There's been lots of talk about drastic shakeups and reimagining the whole existence of what that game would be today.
Now, do we have like details on the extent of what they mean by that? Like, are they completely, low key rehashing the way they're going about this remake from
my understanding, the way they wanted to handle it originally was, I'm blanking on the name of the studio that they outsourced it to, but their whole thing was originally, after it was announced at 2015.
Episodic, right? Is that what you're
Yeah, they said it was going to be episodic, and they had it outsourced to a different company. I think sometime in 2016, early 2017 maybe, there was a big shakeup, and they decided to make it an in-house production at Square Enix. So obviously you're going to get some different moving around with production.
Assets and everything.
Production schedules. So, yeah, mainly the reason I want to bring this up, I wasn't planning on bringing this up after the Square Enix press conference because we figured we were going to be talking about the games that didn't show up already by then. But, after seeing the Resident Evil 2 remake and how good that looks,
right,
I think it's worth talking about. Obviously, they're two very different scales. Resident Evil is a pretty straightforward linear action game. On the PS1 even it was, and Final Fantasy VII was this extensive 80-plus hours RPG. So there is different levels of...
Of course, just a different game overall,
Yeah,
totally.
So, what my whole thing is... So Resident Evil 2 Remake was announced in 2015 also, I believe, and was quiet for a while, and 3 years later, pretty much... Yeah, because it was August 2015 was when they did the We Do It video, and 3 years later today we see we see Resident Evil 2 Remake coming out in January, which I fully believe it's hitting that date.
Oh, and 100%. Yeah.
And it looks really, really good. It looks very impressive. Like it looks like a complete reimagining of that game. We've heard interviews lately after they revealed it at the show about how they're changing up the game, different mechanics, different story changes, and trying to make it a better Resident Evil 2 experience, the same way they did with the first Resident Evil remake. And Square Enix has done remakes of Final Fantasy VII in the past. They remade not Final Fantasy VII. They remade Final Fantasy IV on the DS. Obviously, not a huge jump of PS1 to PS4 as it was for like Super Nintendo to the DS, or just NES to DS, I think, because that was where 4 came out. But
I think you're right on that. Yeah.
The interesting thing with Final Fantasy though that I want to talk to you about is every person has like their favorite, because each one is separate and distinct and doesn't connect outside of themes, things in the world, creatures, like time periods, settings, overall aesthetics, characters, storylines. None of them connect. Like they're all different stories, different things, which I think is really good for especially a remake, because you're getting the pretty much the universally acclaimed version of Final Fantasy, which is Final Fantasy VII, that so many people loved. It was so many people's first game, and you're being able to reintroduce people to the franchise today with a new version of that beloved game,
Right, totally.
Yeah, and I know you said you haven't played or have much reference on Final Fantasy, but...
I'm definitely do not have a lot of... I think I've tried it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I've tried it a few times here and there, but I can't say I played one fully. I can't say I played one,
Yeah.
So.
With Final Fantasy VII specifically, though, like I said, I'm not fully versed in Final Fantasy's history. As a kid, I was super familiar with some of the most notable characters because of Kingdom Hearts and their integration in that series. But yeah, I started Final Fantasy VII when it came out on the PS4 when they did that port of the PC version.
Yeah,
and I have a huge nostalgia for just PS1 anything, like aesthetics, graphics, music. I know it doesn't hold up, but I just love it.
Yeah.
So
no, I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah, going into Final Fantasy VII has been really fun. I'm probably like 3/4 of the way through. I just like chip away at it casually. But
So like, do you recommend I try that Final Fantasy VII PC port on PS4? Like for me not knowing a ton about Final Fantasy, like do you think that'd be a good jumping off period for someone to like get into?
With you or anybody who's listening that hasn't played a Final Fantasy before, I think it comes down to what your experience and preferences with RPGs.
Right.
Like, okay, so do you prefer your RPGs closer to something like The Witcher or Horizon as opposed to Pokemon or Persona?
Definitely Horizon and that type of a more modern Western type of RPG and everything. Definitely from that standpoint. But correct me if I'm wrong here, because again, I really don't know a lot about Final Fantasy. I've tried it here and there, But is it turn-based combat? Is that how Final Fantasy is?
See, that's the thing. It started out turn-based.
Right.
As it progressed, they started changing the combat system and trying new things. I believe Final Fantasy VI started active time battle, which is sort of a... it's not fully real-time and it's not turn-based. Like, if you're waiting in the menu to pick an attack, the enemy can still attack you because you're taking too long.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So that it started leaning more towards that.
A little bit more of a faster paced type of combat, yeah. Yeah,
faster paced combat, and then I'm pretty sure the first fully real time combat was Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, because 15 definitely looks like combat that I'd be used to. You know what I'm saying? And like that's for me, like that's the biggest component as to I feel why I was never fully into Final Fantasy and that, and like a lot of other games too. Like it's not just that game. Like for example, XCOM as well. XCOM, I've heard a lot of great things about it, but it's just the way that they handle combat, where it's more of a turn-based, slower. It just turns me off. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just, I'm not. Same with Pokemon as well. Same in that standpoint. It's just when it's like you're picking your next combat as opposed to doing it like from a more modern standpoint, how we have in games, everything. That's where my kind of I don't enjoy that type of combat personally, So I assume Final Fantasy VII is a more turn-based. I know you said 6 they started the departure and be more of like if you're taking too long in the menu, they'll attack you. Yeah.
The original release of Final Fantasy VII was the active time, so enemies could attack you while you're just waiting in menus.
Right.
What they showed of Remake previously, which it could be completely different now. What they showed though was something much closer to Kingdom Hearts, where it is a real-time combat.
Okay.
You just have navigation through a menu to get to like. It's basically like how you would interact with abilities on like the D-pad in any other game.
Gotcha. Okay.
They just display it 24/7 in the corner of the screen with a menu. So it's like hit the down to go to items, hit the down to go to magic, but you're still like dodging, attacking with buttons. It's still very much like that. And that's what they showed of the 7 remake. I don't know if they wanted to stick with that or if they're going to try something else. 15 obviously was not like that at all. There was no menu on the screen anywhere. During combat, it was just like you'd expect a typical action game to be. So I think if you do have an interest in trying Final Fantasy, I would probably say 15 is your best bet.
Okay. Okay. Let's see.
I think the 7 remake, if it stays on track with what it's supposed to be doing, I think you might have an interest there as well.
Okay. So essentially recommend I try out 15, see if I enjoy it.
Yeah, because 15 is also very modern in terms of its setting as well.
And like gameplay and everything. I don't know fully about it. I know it's like a group of 4 people. It's a band, I think. It's a boy band, or they look like a boy band. No, that was
just the joke.
That's the joke? Okay. I forgot they're actually a boy band, or that was just like the joke that they look like a boy band. But okay.
Yeah, the setup actually for 15 was really... 15 was my favorite game of the year when it came out.
Interesting. And that was what, 2015, I think?
16.
16? Okay.
Yeah, that was my favorite game that year. Yeah, 15 is basically, it's a 10-year road trip.
Holy crap. It spans over 10 years.
The story spans 10 years.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a road trip to get... It's like the prince of this kingdom that's getting attacked by this evil empire.
Gotcha.
Road trips with his 3 best friends after his dad dies to get to a kingdom he's supposed to be joining through marriage with a childhood friend. That's like the basis of that story. So the Final Fantasy games really aren't that complicated. It's just which one you like the battle system of, which one the setting appeals to you, and which one you really want to just give a shot based on reception.
Right. So essentially, like with Final Fantasy, right? So essentially, how you're breaking it down is that even though they're numbered, doesn't mean that they're connected, right? So it's more kind of like COD, where like you have COD 4, and obviously COD 4 ties into Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, but they go back and forth, like they're not all connected seamlessly,
right? Because
in like succession,
it confuses people. It does, just because of the numbering system,
right?
And I think people are so, like, it's like a daunting task, saying like, oh, Final Fantasy 16 is up next. It's like, wait, 16 games? Like,
yeah. And I know, from the likes of like PlayStation, they've told a lot of their first party devs that, hey, if you're gonna make these like we're gonna make another game in a franchise of yours, like try and divert itself from being a number. For example, Infamous Second Son. That's why we got that Second Son. Like, it is a correlation and it is a sequel to Infamous 1 and 2, but for a new console, they wanted to, bring out, just a subtitle so that people aren't, kind of hesitant on buying the game just because it's a number. For, like, we saw the same thing with, like, God of War, for example, too,
Yeah, and like I think that's industry wide at this point because we see Halo Infinite, Doom Eternal.
Exactly. Which is smart. Which is smart
because it's less like I think what really started that whole trend was The Witcher 3 because it wasn't really referred to as The Witcher 3. It was The Witcher Wild Hunt, and then the 3 was like masked on that icon. It was just like a claw scratch.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that was really smart, and people taking that idea and running with it was good. But for Final Fantasy VII. What it means to me for skipping E3, hopefully it just means they're really taking their time on nailing this because, like I said, recently in the news we've heard things about the development of the process, the general goals of the team for this project, and it sounds like they really want to do something special with it because they're saying they want to change things up. They're saying they want to reimagine that story with today's technology, which I think is a better idea than just doing a one-to-one remake because it encourages people to actually go back and look at the original piece of work, which I think is a good idea because the original piece of work for its time was really, really impressive, and giving people a reason, if you do like the Final Fantasy VII Remake and you're interested to see where it all sprouted from, you have the ability to go back to 7,
Totally. And
I think Resident Evil 2 is doing the same thing.
Yeah, or I forgot which game it was, but a recent memory, there was a game that came out with a remake, and there was, like, I think it was in the settings, or maybe it was a button on the fly. You could change it back to the original style. I don't know if you remember a game like that.
Wonder Boy.
Was it Wonder Boy? I feel like there was, like, a bigger game. I don't know. I forgot. Maybe...
Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap was one that you could switch back and forth to the remake or the original.
Maybe it was that what I'm thinking about. But like, do you think maybe like they'll add that to Final Fantasy VII remake, or is that?
Oh, I think that's way too.
Yeah, that's like way too much.
Different to do that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. But I hope the remake comes out good and everything. And with all the shakeups with Final Fantasy VII remake, are they still doubling down on it being episodic? and doing it that style, or because like to me
thing,
that doesn't really sound like a good idea. I don't know what you think about that aspect of the whole thing, but
personally, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
Because if it means ever since they announced it, I figured if it meant that we got it sooner, it was going to be a tight, polished, really solid chunk of that game, which is very long.
Right.
It would be good enough and leave us wanting more, you know? Because when the game originally came out, it was on multiple discs. And I guess episodic is the modern day version of multiple discs, you know?
Oh, originally it was on... Oh, well, I guess that makes sense because, you know, obviously...
Like, it's broken up very clearly into certain sections of that game.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Obviously, it's meant to be played all at once, you know? But I feel like they could easily rework it. I wouldn't be surprised if at this point they want to just do the entire thing all at once because it's been such a long time.
Right.
And I mean, it's real. How long has it been? 3 years? Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Since they said anything about it? Yeah, probably around 3.
Since it got announced, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so it hasn't really been a huge gap of time, but...
Right. I didn't even realize...
Considering things are being shaken up, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even realize or know that the original game was split up on disc. But obviously that makes sense, considering...
Yeah, it's a big game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how much can you put on a single disc? Yeah, so that definitely makes sense, so... Huh. Interesting. Interesting stuff. Shout out to Final Fantasy. Shout out.
Quickly, I want to mention one last thing for Final Fantasy VII Remake. There was a recent interview with Famitsu and the director of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Tetsuya Nomura. I'm pulling this from Gematsu. This is a translation of that. Some of the key points they wanted to bring up were that production on the game is going well. They're trying to figure out when they'll really do their next deep dive on the game because they don't know when or where to do it yet. In my head, I'm assuming if they have something ready, it would probably be at TGS.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Like, that sounds pretty on point for them to be at TGS. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I could see it being held off till PSX, but PSX is just a huge question mark at this point.
Yeah, I feel like...
But
yeah, PSX is a whole nother... That should be another conversation we have, because PSX this year, I think there's going to be some stuff going down there.
Yeah, once we get closer to it, there's probably a lot to talk about.
For sure.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy VII, I really hope it delivers. I really love what I've played of that game. Final Fantasy in general, I really enjoy, especially now, being able to revisit the older games. I think the absence of Final Fantasy VII Remake at E3 this year was felt.
Yeah, it seemed really
was
weird.
Felt very hard.
Oh, yeah.
Not only on the Square Enix stage, I feel like on the PlayStation stage too.
Yeah, and it
felt, that's a big title for them.
At least for me, it felt even worse with the fact that they showed Kingdom Hearts 3 times, right? And it's like, you know, I understand obviously Kingdom Hearts 3, big game. They're trying to push it. They're trying to. I think one of their main, drives to put it on 3 conferences was to nail down that, hey, it is coming out in January. Like, we swear on our lives, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like...
Yeah, because they showed a lot of stuff from that game.
Yeah, a ton of it. And I think it was just a kind of a cry to the fans that, hey, this game is coming out January 2019. 110%. January 29th, I believe, right? Yeah?
Yes.
You're doing that? Yeah. So, I just think it was really weird to... Obviously, they were trying to double down Kingdom Hearts, but... to not even mention anything about Final Fantasy VII Remake, not even like the smallest inklings of anything. Hey, it still exists. Maybe show a different aspect of the game. Do a quick vertical slice that couldn't have taken that much time. Just acknowledge its existence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's what
I get not wanting to do it. Yeah. I get not wanting to do it if it isn't ready because, like we were talking about before. They did show the game before, and it was very close to when the game got announced.
Yeah.
and they probably realized that was a bad idea because of where they are now.
Right. And then obviously, maybe to be fair and play devil's advocate here, obviously they had massive shakeups in the studio and the development of that game, so maybe they're still in the middle of that, still working through the kinks of that process. That could be a thing. Or maybe they're trying to just take a year off and build a little more hype. Because now, look at this right here. We are talking about Final Fantasy VII, even though they didn't say a peep about it. So maybe they're just trying to build up a little more hype and drop something massive later on in the year, or next E3 or something like that, or just by themselves and just announce something down the road. And that way there's more hype.
I understand not wanting to overcrowd their lineup too, because next up for Square Enix RPGs, we have a month from now, we have Octopath, which is the Nintendo exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And then September, we have Dragon Quest XI, which is like another one of their really big JRPG franchises.
Mm-hmm.
And then just 4 or 5 months later, we have Kingdom Hearts 3, I understand not wanting to have Final Fantasy VII there, because it would really cast a shadow over a lot of stuff.
For sure.
Especially Dragon Quest, which I already feel like they undersold the C3, but that's the Square Enix conference in general, I feel like, not just the lineup they had.
Right. But, yeah, totally.
Well, Final Fantasy VII, I miss you. I hope you come back soon.
When do you think we'll get the first episode? Taking into an account the studio shakeups and everything, when do you realistically think we're going to see the first episode be released?
If it's still episodic, I could see them releasing it holiday of 2019.
Yeah.
If it's not episodic, PlayStation 5 launch game in 2020.
That'd be a bold launch game. Jesus, that'd be a bold move. Oh my god, launch episode 1 on the PS5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Day 1. Oh, dude, that would be tight. That'd be a move. That would be a move.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
I mean, I could see it happen. There's a lot of franchises that are up in the air right now, PlayStation, that could really show up like year 1 of PS5.
I think this is bold, and this might be horribly wrong, honestly, but I think we get Horizon 2 day 1.
PS5. Oh, I'm with you on that.
I think that's a launch game, and that was also sorely, not sorely missed from the conference. Obviously, the game came out last year, so I mean, how much can you do in a year on like a new game, just coming off of their last massive, brand new game and everything? So it wasn't sorely missed.
I'm glad games now take their time to get revealed, so it's not like, oh, where is this? We're asking for like 5 years.
Yeah, for sure.
It's better to see what we're getting sooner, I feel like, but
But a game
speaking of
that was sorely missed, and a studio that was sorely not brought up at all, Rocksteady, you are up to the plate here. So let's talk about Rocksteady, okay? Their last project was Arkham VR in 2016. A lot of people enjoyed it, as far as I'm aware. Before that, they did the Arkham series, of course, Arkham Knight being the last of its kind in 2015 and everything. And what is, I feel, frustrating about Rocksteady right now is that, obviously, look here, okay, let's just lay it out. They make great games, right? They're not, these bums in the industry. Like, they make quality games, right? So in the same respect that we give Rockstar or Naughty Dog when they take forever on their games, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, whenever Naughty Dog, tells PlayStation, if they ever have, hey, we need another year, PlayStation just gives it to them. They're like, okay, it's fine. You have proven yourself plenty of times before. So in the same vein, I feel Rocksteady definitely has that same, or should be given that same, merit and same respect in terms of they've proven themselves in their game catalog plenty of times before, right? But what I think is, the main crux is that we don't even know. And there's so many different rumors of what they could be doing right now. You know what I'm saying? And those range from, a Justice League game, another Batman game, which I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we'll get another Arkham game. I don't think that's...
I could see them still do like a... I can talk about it later, but I could still see them do a Batman game.
I mean, like, I think
did you play Arkham Knight?
No. I have not
Okay,
yet.
well, the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending of Arkham Knight is very much like similar to Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Where it kind of leaves it open to maybe if we want to, but not necessarily.
So
Okay, right.
what I would love to see them do, either their next game or this next one, since it's been a while, would be like Batman Beyond Arkham and do like Batman Beyond,
right?
Because that's such a cool world to draw from, and it's so different from what they've done already.
That'd be super cool. Yeah, or I can also see, that same Batman that they sculpted in the Arkham games be in their new game, and that could be in the form of Justice League or Superman, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's a Team Mutant Ninja Turtles game, which I don't know how much steam that has right now in terms of rumors. I don't know how legit that sounds personally.
I could. Yeah. I know that was up in the air for a while. I think right after Arkham Knight, people were throwing that around and it got shot down because it was like, oh, Activision still has the rights. Activision lost all their licensed titles though. So I don't know who owns the Ninja Turtles property right now.
Yeah.
But they did show up in Injustice 2, which was a WB published game. Mm-hmm. So I could see it. I don't know if that's the route they take. I would be really down to see a Rocksteady Ninja Turtles game.
Yeah, that would suck. Honestly, I would not be down for that. Nah, I would not be down. Obviously, I mean, not obviously, but to preface, don't have a lot of fandom towards the TMNT Turtles and everything. So clearly, I would not be interested. But to take off TMNT, so it feels like we definitely don't think that TMNT is going to happen. What are they working on? I
wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah, so what are they working on? Is it Justice League? Is it another Batman game? Is it Superman? I'm okay. I wasn't originally sold on the notion of a Superman game, and I was definitely leaning heavily more towards Justice League. I feel like that makes a lot more sense since they've already done a Batman game. But who's to say they don't bring Batman into a Superman game? You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like, obviously, with the films, Justice League coming out, which neither here or there, trash. But beside the point, I felt like that was more of a safer bet that they were working on Justice League. But I'm now post E3. I'm now a little bit more sold on Superman. I kind of want to see that more.
Yeah. So at this point, I think it's interesting you bring up the movies because I remember there was that rumor that WB Montreal was working on Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah.
And remember that got shut down. I don't remember if it got shut down just because it was having problems or if it was because of the reception to the film. But if it was the reception to the film, I feel like since then they probably would have said, okay, we're not going to do stuff that ties in with the films.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm more leaning towards the Superman camp. I feel like if anyone could do a good Superman game, it would be Rocksteady since they're so familiar with that world.
100%.
And for the Superman game specifically, though, I do think there's ways you can do it, that doesn't make it God mode.
Right. Yeah.
Because
that's a big criticism a lot of people are having too. It's like how do you make a balanced but fun Superman game where you feel threatened, but it's Superman,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. There is ways to do it. You could just have the entire game not set on Earth, and then he's basically a normal guy who's just pretty strong.
Right.
Because he gets his power from the sun, put him in space, put him on a different planet. That'll work. Maybe just have Brainiac be the villain, because I don't think any of the games have done that. Kryptonian invasion or something. I don't know. There's ways you can do it so he's matched power wise.
Right.
This version of Superman, if it does come true, is Rocksteady's version of Superman. So keep that in mind too. They can change some things up with him. Spider-Man from Insomniac is changing up the Spider-Man world.
Yeah.
They could take liberties with it.
That's a fair point. Yeah, but I mean, as far as I'm aware, I don't know if Insomniac is inherently changing the core abilities of Spider-Man, for example. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how it would be reaction wise to Rocksteady being let's say Superman is significantly weaker during the nighttime, hypothetically speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if like, I don't know how that would be received. If that would be received poorly or understandably speaking, to create a game that is not your, it's not just you playing as God mode essentially, So I don't know exactly how people would take that, but that is a fair point that they could just make their own sects of, Supermans, for example. Like,
yeah, and DC isn't opposed to letting people do that or creators do that with their characters, because there was a run a while ago where I think it was in the New 52 comic line. Superman had these powers. It was called like a supernova or something. Okay. And if he did it, he was drained to like normal human status for a week or something. Like he had to recover from that. So I feel like there's things you could do with that, with the powers, like spending a meter maybe.
Right.
Like, again, Rocksteady in the past has changed some things with the lore for Batman. Arkham Knight, they did a very... whatever the term is for being bold and safe at the same time.
Bold and safe move.
Yeah, they did that with a character in Arkham Knight.
Right.
So they're not opposed to changing some things. A deep cut here, but Superman Returns on the Xbox 360 and the PS2. The health bar for Superman was just the city. So I thought that was an interesting idea. Like, city takes too much damage, you fail because you're Superman and you should be able to stop it. I thought that was actually like a really, really underrated feature about that game.
Actually, because at first I was like, what are you talking about? But that doesn't make a lot of sense. It plays into the morals of Superman as well. You know what I'm saying? Like how, so that, definitely, that's a neat idea overall. But, of course, a lot of people have these concerns ever, but I think we should also just take into consideration that it is Rocksteady. I'm sure they're going to make it work. I'm sure they'll make it happen. You know what I'm saying? If they are doing a Superman game. So, and then they also put out a little like response to a lot of people saying, why weren't you at E3, including me, and I think you as well. Like, I feel like a lot of people were expecting Rocksteady to show up, and I thought it'd be on Xbox's stage, and then when they weren't, I was like, it's for sure PlayStation. Like, there's no way they're not at E3. You know what I'm saying? But they put out a statement that said, quote, "We know some of you were disappointed that we were not at E3 this year. The whole team has been reading your comments, and all of us here at Rocksteady really appreciate your passion for our next project. Knowing how much it means to you, keep us inspired and energized to deliver a game that you will be proud of. We'll share it with you as soon as it's ready." So, again, that's just, I believe this statement. I don't think there's any sort of like, I don't know, other reasoning why they weren't at E3. If they say they weren't ready, then generally I feel like they weren't ready. But man, it's like the gamer sad when like a game gets delayed. You know what I'm saying? It's not really that depressing or that sad, because overall, when you get a game that gets delayed, you get a better game. Like, I forgot who said this quote in the industry. Someone did, but or maybe it was Greg. I don't even know who it was.
It was Miyamoto.
Where it's a game that releases bad is always bad, as opposed to a game that gets delayed and it's good is good. A game on first shot, if it's bad, it's always bad. It's forever bad. Miyamoto said that. Yeah. So, I just always tie back to that quote whenever a game gets pushed or a game is taking a while to show. It's like, hey, it's better overall. It's
I'm in the same camp. I would prefer to let a game cook while it has to, than getting a half-baked, crappy,
100%.
underwhelming game, Yeah, especially if it's a property people care about, like Superman. Like, if they rushed out a Batman game, I'd be pissed. Like, if they gave me a half-assed Batman game, oh boy. So I can only imagine what Superman fans would feel like.
Or if you give me a half-assed Charlie game, forget that noise, So it's all good. Delays are a part of it. It's all good. No worries.
Yeah. I do think that this E3 specifically, though, there were a handful of games that are in the Superman boat. more so than the Final Fantasy VII boat. Of there's been so much smoke, you know, and we're just waiting for it to get announced.
Yeah,
like there was that Star Fox Racing rumor from Retro.
Yeah. I read that.
Splinter Cell leaked and it didn't get announced.
Yeah, that one's probably the weirdest one too, because that one, it's like, man, there are clear, concrete, like, this is a thing that's happening. Like, it's kind of hard to.
That was the only, or one of the only games on that Walmart Canada listing that didn't show up.
Yeah,
I think it was that. It was a Metroid Prime listing, and there was a Borderlands listing, I think. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, so the next few weeks probably going to be pretty light news-wise. Obviously, there's going to be some small things that did miss E3, not on the scale of these games probably, but maybe smaller stuff, some third-party stuff coming out saying, hey, we're coming out this year, all that kind of stuff, you know, just things that would be overshadowed, you know. So we're probably going to be getting more news. We're obviously going to be covering that on the channel if you guys want to see it. But, yeah, E3 this year, I think that closes the book on E3 2018.
It's a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah, I think
it was good.
I was happier than I was upset.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I think it was really okay, and I feel like from a lot of the impressions I've read and watched, it seems like if you were there, one of the best.
Right.
Like walking around the show floor, seeing all the games they had there, and like being able to play Smash Bros, being able to play or watch The Last of Us 2 be played, seeing Cyberpunk be played, it seems like it's a very good spot, and it was a very good E3 if you were there. And for me, at least, watching from home like I do every year, good show, good overall.
Yeah, I think it was amazing. Like, I think probably the most memorable E3, which probably be a whole topic in itself, maybe another video. But I think probably the most hyped was seeing Uncharted 4. I think that one, like, there's so many memorable moments to an E3. That should probably be an episode later on. But yeah.
I remember one of the ones I really flipped out on was when they finally announced Kingdom Hearts 3. That was one I remember really vividly. This year had some cool reveals. I wish there weren't so many leaks. But we do have one last segment to close out the show this week, and that is a question from a viewer. Next week, if you didn't know, this week I posted in the community section on the PlayStation Source channel, I made a post just asking 4 questions about the topic of this week's show. You can expect I'd be doing that again next week before we record, so look for that probably around Monday. You can also see it tweeted from PS Source Vids on Twitter. But this week, our question comes from The Moneymaker on YouTube. You ready, Kevin?
Yep.
His question for us is, what game are you looking forward to the most that was shown at E3? But before we answer this, I think we should plug our podcast from last week where we talked about the games that we were most excited about leaving E3 and what we thought had the best showings. But this is a little bit of a different question about what you're most excited about, because obviously I think one of the best shown games that I saw last week or at E3 was Devil May Cry 5, but I'm really looking forward to a couple games this year, I think, that really gave me some good vibes this E3. Obviously, excited for Spider-Man, but I think the one I'm the most curious about, and that's the one that I want to talk about right now real quick, is Fallout 76.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Because
please elaborate. Yeah. Please elaborate. Yeah.
So, I've never liked Fallout that much. Ever. My brother really likes Fallout. He loves Fallout and he loves survival games, so 76 is like his dream game.
Right.
I've always preferred the Elder Scrolls from what I've played. I tried Fallout 3, I tried New Vegas on my brother's 360. And it's interesting because with Fallout, I really, really like the marketing. I really like the vibe. I really like the tone of everything. I think it's a really cool world, how it's all super post-apocalypse, but like futuristic 50s, and it's just stuck in that era, which I think is a really cool vibe. It's really interesting. Yeah. And something about the game, I think really a lot of it falls down to visually. I just don't like being in that world for that long, as opposed to something like a Skyrim where it's like a storybook almost, you know? You're like going through...
Yeah. Is it the fact that like kind of Skyrim is a little bit more varying in their environments as opposed to at least what I've seen of Fallout? It just seems like it's a lot of a variation of like 20 different gray palettes throughout the entire game.
It's weird because I like post-apocalypse games. Like The Last of Us is one of my favorite games ever. I liked The Walking Dead for a long time. Like that, the general idea of an apocalypse survive is inherently interesting, to me at least. Like, same with Horizon. Horizon really nailed the post-apocalypse thing. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so with Fallout 76, it's interesting because I did play Fallout 4. Right. That was the first one I really sort of got into. I put about 20 hours in when it came out, and then I just sort of fell off, and I had no desire to go back.
Yeah,
I really have a desire to go back right now, though.
I fell off a lot earlier than you. I'd say I probably got like maybe 7-8 hours in, and I just got distracted with other stuff.
Yeah. So right before I traded in Fallout 4, though, I tried out the mods because that was around when they actually came to PS4.
Uh-huh.
And you could do some really interesting things with the color palettes. You can actually make foliage in the game. You can have like it look like autumn or spring, which was very refreshing. And I put another like 5 hours into it just like that.
Right.
So Fallout 76 is interesting because especially recently I find myself playing multiplayer games with my friends a lot more while I'm at school with like my home friends. And I think Fallout's interesting because the world of Fallout and the politics of the world of Fallout about different organizations and all that stuff being completely controlled by players is really interesting to me. And I just know that going on with some of my friends, I will get nuked from some of them. And that just seems like an inherently fun time, you know? Like just surviving in that world with people.
Yeah, so do you think like Fallout 76 might amend those reservations that you've had with previous Fallout titles? Like,
yeah,
do you think, this might be its best shot, for example? Like,
I think so. Like I said, I'm sort of torn right now. I have a GameStop gift card, and I kind of want to go pick up Fallout again, Fallout 4, just to like go back into that world and see if anything changes, because that experience of Fallout 4 is going to be drastically different from Fallout 76 just because of what kind of game it is, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, but I think the style of game 76 is and what it's potentially going to give me gameplay-wise with my friends, I think it has a good chance of selling me.
Gotcha. I see.
But what about you? What are you most excited about, or most looking forward to, I should say,
Mine,
E3 this year?
I think it's a tie between 2 and maybe a little bit more. So I'm gonna say it's Anthem, just because I'm curious as to how that game's gonna end up. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of just drama behind this game, with the Fallout that was Andromeda and everything. No pun intended with Fallout. With all that happening, with all that drama, and just where BioWare is at, and the way they have just talked in a way that you don't see a lot of devs talk about, where they've straight up verbatim said like, hey, this is essentially our last shot. Like this is like we are doubling down on Anthem. You know what I'm saying? So we've just never had, not never, but it's rare to have a dev kind of backed up in a corner and have that attitude of feeling the pressure and being so open about that aspect of developing this game. So I feel like there's just a lot of moving pieces with Anthem that I'm really curious to see how are they going to fall into place. How is it going to play out? You know what I'm saying? I would love to look like in the future, at least to a year and a half, and see exactly how Anthem is going to be received. And if it's going to be a massive hit, do we even, there's, because what if it fails? What if Anthem is, like what you've said before previously, where it's just going to be like this cliche, like Destiny clone, it's going to flop, Like, what if it actually does? Like, what if it doesn't differentiate itself enough amongst the likes of Destiny or Division, for example, to to have a unique quality that rises above, you know. And also, and also with all those things we count, I just want to see personally for myself if I'm going to enjoy, you know, Anthem, because admittedly, Division 2 didn't shape up to how we would have liked it to, you know, from us being Division fans. I mean, sorry, Destiny fans. Did I say Division?
Right.
Yeah. You know, with us kind of falling out of Destiny and everything, and me liking Destiny 2 when it first came out and everything, but obviously, you know, after that honeymoon phase, it definitely kind of faded out for me personally. Same with Division as well, you know, but another game that I was, you know, that I'm looking forward to the most as well, definitely being Division 2. It looked great from what they showed. I like the setting. I like where they're adapting the narrative in the game from a world standpoint, as you know, with that comment that I made last podcast where they are moving into a time during the epidemic where the epidemic isn't really the biggest threat anymore, you know, 6 months
I think
after.
That's an interesting take.
It's really cool. It's something that we don't see a lot in these type of games. It's very, very unique. So I definitely like that, you know, overall. And probably the last one that I'll just throw out there, my main one is Anthem, but a little side one here is Ghost of Tsushima. You know, that one as well. That one is probably the one game that I was hyped for and that we saw, and now I'm a little bit hesitant on it. Now I'm like, man, like, ugh. Like, for me, Ghost and Days Gone are in the same boat, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Where it's like they are very close to being flops or amazing, you know, or just good, you know.
I have more faith in Tsushima than Days Gone right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. You know, I definitely put more, you know, definitely more faith in Ghost, for sure. You know, 100%, yeah. But overall, to answer just the question, Anthem, probably my most anticipated. And it would have been the Star Wars The Fallen Order if they didn't just have a really weird crowd interview that didn't show anything. And supposedly it's coming out next holiday, but didn't show a single thing. So a bit worried about that one. You know, just a bit worried, but we'll see.
Yeah, well.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
So I think that's going to do it for this week's show. As always, Kevin, thanks for joining me and talking everything about the gaming industry that we want to talk about. Next week should be an interesting time. We're going to have to come up with a topic that is not E3 related, because there's no more E3 news to cover right now. But if you all enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Give it a like and comment down below. Let us know what you think of the show, what you want to see us cover in the future on the show, how you're digging the format. And remember, leave your questions on the post next week. When I post it up on Monday, look for it around then. If you want to get featured on the show, like we did today with The Moneymaker, get your name read on the show, join the PlayStation Source Club. And yeah, Kevin, where can the people find you if they want to hear more about what you have to say?
They can find me, of course, here on PlayStation Source. I post here, you know, pretty regularly, as well as my personal Twitter at TheKDiaz123, THEKDIAZ123, and of course our PS Source Vids account on Twitter that is at PS Source Vids as well. So hit me up. Any questions you have, I will probably post the tweet around the same time as the post that goes up on YouTube, asking for questions for next week. So definitely I'll try to, you know, make those around the same time and everything, so you can follow me on those platforms.
And you can follow me at Chris N. Buckley on Twitter. You can see the spelling in the lower third if you didn't pick that up. But thank you all for listening. We appreciate all the support. And as always, greatness awaits, and we'll see you next time.